Chapter 3, The Cosmos, What the Bible Said About the Earth and Sky. We turn now from the smallest scale to the largest, from atoms to the cosmos, and to the Bible's statements about the shape and nature of the universe. These statements were made in the ancient Near East, a cultural environment whose cosmology was dominated by the idea of a flat earth resting on water, covered by a solid dome of sky. The Babylonian creation myth, the Enuma Elish, describes exactly this. The Egyptian cosmology describes exactly this. The prevailing intellectual world in which the biblical authors lived and wrote believed exactly this. And yet the Bible consistently describes something different. Isaiah 40 verse 22, written approximately 700 BC, says, "He sits enthroned above the circle of the earth, and its people are like grasshoppers. He stretches out the heavens like a canopy, and spreads them out like a tent to live in." The Hebrew word translated as circle is chug, which carries the sense of a sphere, a vault, a curved horizon. The Septuagint, the ancient Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible produced in the 3rd century BC, translates it as gyros, a circle or sphere. Isaiah was not describing a flat disk. He was describing a spherical earth. But Isaiah is not the most striking example. Job 26 verse 7 says, "He spreads out the northern skies over empty space, he suspends the earth over nothing." Suspends the earth over nothing. Every other ancient cosmology had the earth resting on something, on the back of a giant turtle, on the shoulders of Atlas, on pillars rising from the Primeval Ocean. Every one. The idea that the earth simply hung in empty space, unsupported by anything, was not just scientifically ahead of its time. It was culturally shocking. And it is correct. The earth does hang in empty space, suspended by gravity, which is itself an invisible force that cannot be seen but whose effects are everywhere apparent. Job 38 verses 31 to 33 contains one of the most astonishing passages in the Bible for the scientifically literate reader. God is speaking to Job from the whirlwind and asks, "Can you bind the chains of the Pleiades? Can you loosen Orion's belt? Can you bring forth the constellations in their seasons or lead out the bear with its cubs? Do you know the laws of the heavens? Can you set up God's dominion over the earth?" In the 19th century, astronomers discovered that the Pleiades, the famous star cluster visible to the naked eye, are gravitationally bound. The stars of the Pleiades are genuinely connected to each other by gravity, they move together through space as a group, and they cannot be separated from each other by any force we know of. They are, in the language of the text, chained. Orion's belt, by contrast, is an asterism, a pattern that exists only from our point of view. The three stars that form Orion's belt are at very different distances from Earth. Mintaka is 1,200 light-years away, Alnilam is 2,000 light-years away, and Alnitak is 1,260 light-years away. They are not gravitationally connected to each other. They are not bound together. They appear aligned only from our perspective. They cannot be loosened because they were never bound. The text distinguishes between a gravitationally bound cluster, the Pleiades, whose chains cannot be broken, and an optical asterism, Orion's belt, whose appearance of connection is an illusion. This distinction is astronomically accurate. It was made in a text written approximately 3,000 years ago by a man who had no telescope, no spectrometer, no understanding of gravitational physics. Ecclesiastes 1 verses 6 to 7 describes the hydrological cycle with extraordinary precision. The wind blows to the south and turns to the north, round and round it goes, ever returning on its course. All streams run to the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place where the streams flow, there they will flow again. This is a description of global wind circulation patterns and the complete water cycle: evaporation from the sea, condensation into clouds, precipitation as rain, runoff through rivers back to the sea. The scientific description of this cycle was not completed until the 18th and 19th centuries. The biblical description was written approximately 900 BC.